This is Smoking Out the Closet. Now, here are your hosts.
Hi, I'm Rayven. I use she, her pronouns.
I am Asmodeus, they, them pronouns.
Welcome back to another episode of
Smoking Out the Closet.
For those of you who are new or just joining us, we are a queer podcast
Pun intended.
that talks about cannabis,
The LGBT community.
and everything in between.
And beyond.
So welcome.
Welcome.
First and foremost, top of the episode, I do want to apologize for any sound that does sound different for you. I am going to try edit it as best as I can, but we are in our studio officially.
Yay!
We have this small room in the house that we've always had, and it's kind of like a studio / craft room / study that we never really got set up. That actually sounded really gay.
I got this table for $6 on MacBid that we set up today, and got the computer up here. And
our new camping chairs that we're going to bring, and they're new, like we pulled them out of the bag for the first time. So you may hear some ruffling in the background while we move around, get comfortable, because this is an hour-long recording at least. So just heads up, audio quality might sound a little janky for a little bit till we get some more stuff in here. That being said, let's go with the review. So we actually have Simply Herb's Whiplash from Simply Herb, which is owned by Ascend, which is a they're newer to the Pittsburgh area, but we reviewed them once before on the podcast and off the podcast. We went to their, I think, only dispensary in the state, which is towards Philly, oh God, that was about a year and a half ago now.
Oh wow, yeah, it was.
So they finally got 2 dispensaries out here. One's in Munhall, PA, and the other one is in Cranberry, or going to be in Cranberry. I don't know if they opened yet or not. Which we should have stopped there yesterday.
I think they did open already.
Did they?
I believe they did.
Their other major brand is Ozone, which I think we've seen in New Jersey, but we didn't buy in New Jersey.
I have had it at my dispensary for a while.
Yeah, it's been at my dispensary for a hot minute, but when Ascend was just towards Philly, they didn't have their house brand yet when we were there.
Yeah.
So I forgot to bring up the packaging, but it's on my phone, kind of blurry. So we're looking at 25.665 THCA, 0.510 THC, and no other cannabinoids. Looking at 0.504 limonene, followed by 0.368 caryophyllene, and then 1.26 myrcene, and 0.139 linalool, and 0.125 humulene. Everything else is 0.0 something. So, not super high on the terpene profile, but it was actually a really good strain.
I really like it.
You were saying it reminded you of camping.
Yeah, it has that kind of musky, earthy, I don't know, woodsy. Smells like the inside of a cabin. That's the only way I can describe it. Is just, it reminds me of camp.
I wasn't getting that, but I was definitely getting that earthy tone and reminding me more of grass.
Yeah.
But not like you just took grass and ate it, but more kind of kind of clovery is probably more moss, clover kind of adjacent.
Yeah.
I originally gave this so we were supposed to record yesterday, and we got rallies, and that upset our stomachs.
Oopsies.
So we ended up recording today instead, but we did smoke very slowly over the course of the night yesterday, and then smoked full in one session today. And honestly, I like it a bit better going in a full session, and I think it made everything a little bit better because I wasn't stop going, stop what I'm doing, do something, come back to it. So it bumped it up from a 3.8, which was my original review, to a 4.
I originally gave it a 4 when we tried it yesterday. I still have it at a 4. I really like it. It's very nice, kind of just mellow, happy feeling.
Also, if you hear any cat noises, our cats are currently in the studio with us because they like to sit in the windows that are. This room is set up because it's the rear-facing windows of our house, and they like to watch the birds in the trees. So you may occasionally hear a chirp or two from them. Yeah, honestly, I really liked it. I think it's relatively cheap, if I recall correctly. Let me actually, if my phone will let me do it, let me see how much it is at my store for a price kind of point. I don't think we have any of the Whiplash anymore at the moment. We do have some of the other Simply Herb brands, so it should be the same price. But yeah, Ascend has $15 eighths. But I'm trying to do someone else that's not from Ascend, just because I'm trying to give it's $18.
Oh wow!
It's $18 at my store, so I think that might be the same price as Ascend, but it's $18 for an eighth, and it's not bad.
That's awesome.
That's really good for like $18, and hopefully, knock on wood, knock on our new table.
Yeah.
Or desk, that it's actually going to bring everyone else's prices a little lower, you know?
Yeah.
That being said, can I take the first topic?
Yeah.
So I wanted to go over a little LGBT history, since it still is LGBT History Month, and I think this is our last recording for the month before we go into November. So on May of this year, CNN, wrote an LGBTQ rights milestone fast facts article, which I will put in the show notes below, but I do want to talk about the history of it. So here's the timeline for the United States. Other states or other countries are going to have different timeline. This is just for our, the U.S. So 1924 it starts. Not a good sign.
No.
The Society for Human Rights is founded by Henry Gerber in Chicago. Like Gerber baby? Like the baby food Gerber? I'm curious about that. I'll have to do a deep dive later.
Interesting, yeah.
Henry Gerber in Chicago. It is the first documented gay rights organization. Fast forward to the 1950s. The Mattachin, Mattachin,
Mattachin?
Society is formed by activist Harry Hay. What's with the Harrys? And is one of the first sustained gay right groups in the United States. The society focuses on social acceptance and other support for homosexuals. And that's just blanket years. Then we're going to go into more specific dates. April 1952, the American Psychiatric Association's diagnosis manual lists homosexuality as a sociopathic personality disturbance. Gross. So this is going to be history. This is the good and the bad of everything.
Yeah.
President Dwight D. Eisenhower signs an executive order that bans homosexuals from working for the federal government, stating that they are a security risk. Yeah. Tell that to all the gay men who fought during Pearl Harbor.
Yeah.
Fucking asshole. September 1955, the first known lesbian rights organization of the United States is formed. The Daughters of Bilitis, or DOB, forms in San Francisco. They host private social functions, fearing police raids, threats of violence, and other discrimination in bars and clubs. I mean, it makes sense. July 1961, Illinois becomes the first state to decriminalize homosexuality by repealing their sodomy laws, which I think PA still has, technically. They just don't follow it, but I think it's technically on the books. You want to look that up while I'm going through? Because I think the federal sodomy laws were abolished, but I don't know if PA has. So fact check me on that. June 28, 1969, the famous... Oh, sorry, I skipped one. September 11, 1961, the first U.S. televised documentary of homosexuality airs on local stations in California. Then June 28, 1969, the police raid the Stonewall Inn in New York City. Protests and demonstrations begin, and it later becomes known as the impetus for gay civil rights movements in the United States. In 1969, the Los Angeles Advocate, founded in 1967, is renamed to The Advocate. It is considered the oldest continuing LGBTQ publication that has began as a newsletter. Oh, I didn't know that. Published by the activist group Personal Rights in Defense and Education, PRIDE, in 1966. Did you...
I did. I found it. While Pennsylvania has removed its statute outlawing sodomy, many states still have anti-sodomy laws in the books, even though they remain unenforceable. This is from findlaw.com/state/Pennsylvania.
Interesting. Okay. June 28, 1970, community members in New York City marched through the local streets. Let me try that again. Marched through local streets to recognize the one-year anniversary of the Stonewall riots. This event is named Christopher Street Liberation Day and is now considered the first gay pride parade. 1973, Lambda Legal becomes the first legal organization established to fight for the equal rights of gays and lesbians. Now they do also the entire community. Lambda also becomes their own first client after being denied nonprofit status by the New York Supreme Court. Eventually rules that Lambda Legal can exist as a nonprofit. Fucking hoo-yah. January 1st, 1973, Maryland becomes the first state to statutorily ban same-sex marriage. Oh, come on, Maryland.
Oh, Jesus.
March 26, 1973, first meeting of the parents and friends of gays, which goes national as Parents, Families, and Friends of Lesbians and Gays, PFLAG, in 1982.
Nice.
December 15th, 1973, by a vote of 5,854 to 3,810, the American Psychiatric Association removes homosexuality from its DSM-2 diagnostics. Good. So it removes it from the it's not a psychiatric thing anymore.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, buddy. I don't want you on me. I love you. You're a good cat. No. No. Where am I? 1974, Kathy Kojenko becomes the first openly LGBTQ American elected to any public office when she wins a seat on the Ann Arbor, Michigan City Council. That's cool. Wait. Wasn't... Oh, okay, that's a couple years later. Okay. 1974, Elaine Noble is the first openly gay candidate elected to a state office when she is elected for the Massachusetts state legislature. This is before Milk. Why does nobody talk about these girls? We got to do an episode focusing on them then.
Yes.
January 14th, 1975, the first federal gay rights bill is introduced. Why can't I talk today? It's the weed. The first federal gay rights bill is introduced to address discrimination based on sexual orientation. The bill later goes to a committee, but is never brought for consideration. Boo. March 1975, Technical Sergeant Leonard P. Matlovich reveals his sexual orientation to his commanding officer and is forcibly discharged from the Air Force 6 months later. Matlovich is a Vietnam War veteran and was awarded both the Purple Heart and the Bronze Star. In 1980, the Court of Appeals ruled the dismissal was improper, and Matlovich is awarded his back pay and a retroactive promotion. That's big for the 70s.
Yeah.
After undergoing gender reassignment surgery, or what we call gender confirmation surgery, in 1975, ophthalmologist, I feel like I watched that one, and professional tennis player Renee Richards is banned from competing in the Women's US Open because of a women-born women rule, which we're probably still dealing with. Issues like that. Richards challenges the decision, and in 1977, and the New York Supreme Court rules in her favor. Richard competes in the 1977 U.S. Open, but is defeated in the first round by Virginia Wade. Yeah, see, even back then. Oh, someone transitions and they're automatically better in sports? No, the fuck they're not. Shut up with that bullshit. January 9th, 1978, Harvey Milk is inaugurated as San Francisco city supervisor and is the first openly gay man. There we go. Openly gay man, not the first LGBTQ person elected. To a political office in California. We've talked about Harvey Milk last episode. I'm not going to go over what ended up happening to them. In 1978, inspired by Milk to develop a symbol of pride and hope for the LGBTQ community, Gilbert Baker designs and stitches together the first rainbow flag. In October 14th, 1979, the first National March on Washington for lesbian and gay rights takes place. It draws an estimated 75,000 to 125,000 individuals marching for those rights. Oh boy, here we go. The 80s. Big content warning for AIDS.
Strapping.
March 2nd, 1982, Wisconsin becomes the first state to outlaw discrimination based on sexual orientation. Okay, can we just talk about Wisconsin for a second? Because I'm pretty sure Wisconsin was also the first state that allowed women to vote. State or territory.
Yeah.
Because, a little fun fact, I think it's Wisconsin. I can't remember. But it's definitely one of those Midwestern territories before they fully became states. Because so many of the businesses were controlled by the women, including the brothel. And who had the most money controlled the town. The brothel had the most money. So yeah, a little fun fact. I think it's Wisconsin. I don't know if it for sure, but I think so. 1983, Lambda Legal wins People versus West 12 Tenants Group, the first AIDS HIV discrimination lawsuit. Neighbors attempted to evict Dr. Joseph Sonnabend from the building because he was treating HIV patients. That's messed up, man. Okay, like why would you stop people? He's helping sick people. Like, yeah. Leave him alone. October 11th, 1988, the first National Coming Out Day is observed, which we did talk about last episode.
Yeah.
November 30th, 1993, Bill Clinton signs a military policy directive that prohibits openly gay and lesbian Americans from serving in the military, but also prohibits the harassment of closeted homosexuals. The policy is known as Don't Ask, Don't Tell. First, that didn't fucking work because people got outed by other people and still got discharged.
Yeah.
You know, the policy said not to. That was a huge, and I feel like it's so we're so having some of this when they're more central-leaning Democrats, this is just a Band-Aid solution to make everybody happy when it doesn't. Sorry, DADT pisses me off. November 1995. Hey, I'm alive. Let's see. The Hate Crime Sentencing Enhancement Act goes into effect as part of the Violent Crime Control and Law Enforcement Act of 1994. The law allows a judge to impose harsher sentences if there is evidence showing that a victim was selected because of, quote, actual or received race, color, religion, national origin, ethnicity, gender, disability, or sexual orientation of any person, end quote. September 21st, 1996, President Clinton signs the Defense of Marriage Act banning federal... See, and this is where I talk about like the more central-leaning Democrats. Mm-hmm. banning federal recognition of same-sex marriage and defining marriage as a, quote, legal union between one man and one woman as husband and wife, end quote. Yeah. December 3rd, 1996, Hawaii's Judge Kevin Chang rules that the state does not have a legal right to deprive same-sex couples of the right to marriage, making Hawaii the first state to recognize gay and lesbian couples and are entitled to the same privileges as heterosexual couples. You're born now. April 1997.
Yay.
Comedian Ellen DeGeneres comes out as a lesbian on the cover of Time magazine stating, "Yep, I'm gay." April 30th, 1997, DeGeneres' character Ellen Morgan on her self-titled TV show Ellen becomes the first leading character to come out on primetime network television. April 1st, 1998, Martin Luther King's widow, Coretta Scott King, asked the civil rights community to help in the efforts to extinguish homophobia. Aw, that's nice. I didn't know that. I'm glad we're doing this because I'm actually learning stuff too. I was like, oh, I found this, and I was like, no, I should wait to read all of this. Okay, so either on the 6th of October or the 7th, or it says both days, 1998, Matthew Shepard is tied to a fence and beaten. Oof. Near Laramie, Wyoming. He's eventually found by a cyclist who initially mistakes him for a scarecrow and eventually dies due to his injuries. October 9th, the next day, or 2 days later, Russell Henderson and Aaron McKinney make their first court appearance after being arrested for the attempt of murder of Shepard. Eventually, the two receive life sentences for Shepard. And now we're jumping quite a bit. June 2003. I'm in 3rd grade. You're in 1st grade. The U.S. Supreme Court strikes down the homosexual conduct law, which decriminalize same-sex. Can I try again?
Yes.
I'm going to edit out a lot of this podcast. In June 2003, the U.S. Supreme Court strikes down the homosexual conduct law, which decriminalizes same-sex sexual conduct. Try saying that 5 times fast. With their opinion in Lawrence v. Texas, the decision also reverses Bowers v. Hardwick, a 1986 U.S. Supreme Court ruling that held up Georgia's sodomy law. So wait, what? Okay, so yeah, basically how I'm reading this is the Supreme Court said, no, we're not going to decriminalize it. You're still illegal to be gay. Now keep in mind, that's how it's read, right?
Where?
June 2003. I just want to go, because it's what it seems like, right?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I thought. And a lot of people go, oh, people wonder why we still fight for our rights when it was 19 years ago. No, 21, I can math. 21 years ago, it was still illegal. But the U.S. Supreme Court still made it illegal to be gay. May 17th, 2004, the first legal same-sex marriage in the United States takes place in Massachusetts.
Nice.
September 6, 2005, the California legislature becomes the first to pass a bill allowing marriage between same-sex couples. But Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger vetoes the bill. Come on, fuck you, Terminator.
Fuck?
I remember this, and I remember getting very upset. October 25th, 2006, the New Jersey Supreme Court rules that state lawmakers must provide the rights and benefits of marriage to gay and lesbian couples. The California Supreme Court rules in remarriage cases that limiting marriage to opposite same-sex couples is unconstitutional, or opposite-sex couples. And I think it's around this time that kind of spoiler alert for my next topic. A lot of celebrities talk about how they're not getting married until LGBT people can get married. I think this is when it started. I don't have any research behind it because I was like, oh yeah, I want to talk about this, and I forgot to look stuff up. November 4th, 2008, voters approved Proposition 8 in California, which makes same-sex marriage illegal. The proposition is later found to be unconstitutional by a federal judge. August 12, 2009, milk is posthumously awarded the Medal of Freedom by President Barack Obama. And that's like the highest award like a civilian can get. October 28th, 2009, Obama signs the Matthew Shepard and James Byrd Jr. Hate Crime Prevention Act into law. I remember this one as being big, what I'm about to say. September 20th, 2011, Don't Ask, Don't Tell is repealed, ending a ban on gay men and lesbians from openly serving in the military. Okay. Where am I? May 9th, 2012, in an ABC interview, Obama becomes the first sitting U.S. president to publicly support the freedom for LGBT couples to marry. September 4th, 2012, 12 years ago, the Democratic Party becomes the first major U.S. political party in the history supporting same-sex marriage on a national platform at the DNC. November 6, 2012, Tammy Baldwin becomes the first openly gay politician and the first Wisconsin woman to be elected to U.S. Senate. In United States v. Winter, the U.S. Supreme Court strikes down Section 3 of the Defense of Marriage Act, ruling legally married same-sex couples are entitled to federal benefits. The High Court also dismisses a case involving California's Proposition 8. So keep in mind, I was in high school. No. Shit. No, I wasn't. Now I remember why I don't remember this being a big hoopla. Or wait, okay, so I'm trying to remember. I can't remember if I gotta look at. Okay, so my brain's not working right now, obviously, with all my stammering from earlier. I either went to basic June 25th or July 25th, and I'm leaning towards July right now, but I want to say it's June. I gotta look at my DD-214. But, like, this was 11 years ago, and around the time I went into the military. So the same time I was just waiting to go to basic, or was already on my way to basic, same-sex marriage became legal in the United States.
Yeah.
That is crazy to think about. And everyone's like, oh, well, you got gay marriage. And I'm like, yeah, and you guys are threatening to take it. Some of you guys are threatening to take it away. October 6, 2014, the U.S. Supreme Court denies review in 5 different marriage cases, allowing the lower court ruling to stand, and therefore allowing same-sex married couples to marry in Utah, Oklahoma, Virginia, Indiana, and Wisconsin. The decision opens the door for the right to marry in Colorado, Kansas, North Carolina, South Carolina, West Virginia, and Wyoming. Let's see. April 28, 2015. U.S. Supreme Court hears oral arguments on the question of freedom to marry in Kentucky, Tennessee, Ohio, and Michigan. On June 26, the Supreme Court rules that states cannot ban same-sex marriage. A 5-4 ruling that Justice Anthony Kennedy, writing for the majority, Each of the 4 conservative judges write down their dissent. Surprising. No one. June 9th, 2015, Secretary of Defense Ash Carter announces the military equal opportunity policy and has it adjusted to include gay and lesbian military members. Which pretty much means, hey, guess what? There's still discrimination. Up until after I served, there was still discrimination for the military. I'm going to follow up and actually break down what that exactly is. That's what I thought. So basically what it is there's no discrimination. When you first go into the military, your military training instructor, your drill sergeant, RDC, whatever your branch uses, will say, you will not be discriminated based on any protective classes, including race, religion, ethnicity, gender. And that's when 2015 is when they added sexual orientation. I think my RDCs said that because either the Navy was already doing that or my RDCs were not taking that shit. Because I knew none of my RDCs were going to let any of homophobia slide.
Yeah.
Which, fucking hoo-yah, and shout out to them. Where am I? Okay. I accidentally scrolled too forward. Where am I? Okay, here we go. July 27th, 2015. Boy Scouts of America Robert Gates announced the National Executive Board ratified a resolution removing the national restriction on openly gay leaders and employees. I remember that being real big. I think I was in college at this time. I think you were still in high school, weren't you?
When was this?
July 27th, 2015. You just graduated.
Just graduated, yeah.
May 17th, 2016, the Senate confirms Eric Fanning to be the Secretary of the Army, making him the first openly gay secretary of any U.S. military branch. Let's see. June 24th, 2016, Obama announces the designation of the first national monument to the lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender LGBTQ rights. The Stonewall National Monument will encompass Christopher Park, the Stonewall Inn, and the surrounding streets, and a sidewalk where the sites of the 1969 Stonewall Uprising took place, which I was actually fortunate enough to see in person. If you have the opportunity, even if you're not going for Pride, go see the Stonewall Inn.
I want to go.
We should go.
Absolutely.
Let's see. I'm sorry this is taking so long, so much of the podcast, but I feel like it's a good way to end LGBT History Month.
Yeah.
June 30th, 2016, Secretary of Defense Carter announces that the Pentagon is lifting the ban on transgender people openly serving in the military. So this is a little bit before I start figuring out my gender stuff, I want to say. August 5th to the 21st, 2016, a record number of out athletes compete in the Summer Olympic Games in Rio de Janeiro. The Human Rights Campaign estimated that there was at least 41 openly lesbian, gay, and bisexual Olympians, and up from 23 that participated in London in 2012. November 9th, 2016, Kate Brown is sworn in as the governor of Oregon. A day after she was officially elected to office, Brown becomes the highest-ranking LGBTQ person elected in the United States. Brown took over as governor in February 2016 without an election after Democrat John Kitzhaber resigned amidst a criminal investigation. Ooh, scandalous. Actually, that was just a guess. I don't know what actually happened. If anything really bad happened with that, I do feel bad. April 4th, 2017, the 7th Circuit Court of Appeals rules that the Civil Rights Act prohibits workplace discrimination against LGBTQ employees, and Kimberly Hively sues Ivy Technical College for violating the Title VII Act by denying her employment. June 27th, 2017. Now keep in mind, this is now, 7 years ago? And we're still having things like to fight for our rights. This is the tail end of the Obama administration. Ugh. I gotta say everything by presidents now. District of Columbia residents can now choose a gender-neutral option on their driver's license. DC residents become the first people in the United States able to choose X on their gender markers.
Nice.
June 30th, 2017, U.S. Department of Defense announced a 6-month delay in allowing transgender individuals to enlist. Defense Secretary Jim Mattis writes that they will, quote, use this additional time to evaluate more carefully the impact of such extensions on readiness and lethality. Approximately a month later, President Donald Trump announces via Twitter that the United States government will not allow transgender individuals to serve in the military at any capacity. So keep in mind, this is now, over 7 years ago, during Trump's first presidency, and hopefully only presidency, that we denied trans people, again, the right to serve in the military. November 7th, 2017, Virginia voters elect the first openly transgender candidate to the Virginia House of Delegates, Danica Roem, which I was so happy when this happened as a Virginian. Let's see. February 26, 2018, the Pentagon confirms the first transgender person has signed a contract to join the U.S. military. March 4th, 2018, Daniela Vega, the star of Oscar-winning foreign film A Fantastic Woman, becomes the first openly transgender presenter in the Academy Awards. March 23rd, 2018, the Trump administration announces a new policy that bans most transgender people from serving in the military. After several court battles, the Supreme Court allows the ban to go into effect January 2019. That was 5 years ago, guys. 5 years ago. And I always hear people whenever they bring up the military, oh, what about, surgeries? What about HRT? What about this? If we can give freaking guys ED medication in the military and send that over for overseas, I think it's fine.
Yeah.
All right? Like, oh, yeah, they might not be able to take it in the middle of the combat zone. I think taking your HRT in the middle of a combat zone is like the least concern. Probably not getting shot at is probably number one.
Yeah.
And again, I don't know. I was never a combat vet, but I would put that up there on the priority list. Don't get shot.
Yeah.
Let's see. November 6, 2018, Democratic Representative Jared Polis wins the Colorado governor's race, becoming the nation's first openly gay man to be elected governor. June 30th, 2019, New York Governor Andrew Cuomo signs a law banning the use of so-called gay and trans panic law defense strategies, which fucking hoo-yah on that.
Yeah.
Which is a tactic that asks jurors to find the victim's sexual orientation or gender identity as the reason for the defendant's violent reaction, which PA still has.
Yeah, unfortunately.
New York follows California, Rhode Island, Illinois, Nevada, and Connecticut as the sixth state to pass such law. Let's see. September 22nd, 2019, Billy Porter becomes the first openly gay man to win an Emmy for Best Actor in a Drama Series. Okay, here we go. We're in the COVID years. Well, February 10th, 2020, the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals upholds a ruling that the state of Idaho must provide gender confirmation surgery for Audrey Edmo, an inmate in custody of the Idaho Department of Corrections. The ruling marks the first time a federal court of appeal has ruled that the state must provide gender assignment surgery to an incarcerated person. June 15th, 2020, the Supreme Court rules that federal law protects LGBTQ workers from discrimination. The landmark ruling extends protections to millions of workers nationwide and is a defeat for the Trump administration, which argued Title VII of the Civil Rights Act that bars discrimination based on sex did not extend to claims of gender identity and sexual orientation. Yes, it fucking does. Oh, but it doesn't count because sex isn't involved. The person's sex isn't involved. Yes, it does. Because the sex of the partner and someone's gender identity, which doesn't match their sex. Oh no, guess what? That goes to the basis. It's not fucking rocket science.
No.
August 26, 2020, the Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals rules in the favor of former student Gavin Grimm, who was more than a 4-year fight over restroom policies for transgender students. November 3rd through 4th, 2020, general election results in 3 legislative firsts. Sarah McBride wins the Senate race for Delaware, who is the nation's first transgender to serve as a state senator. Richie Torres and Mondary Jones elected to serve in New York's 15th and 17th district, becoming the first black man elected to Congress who openly identifies as gay. And then Marie Turner wins the race for Oklahoma State House for District 88 and will become the first non-binary state legislator in U.S. history and the first Muslim lawmaker in Oklahoma.
Hell yeah.
Okay. President, January 25th, 2021. I'm so sorry this is taking so much of the episode.
Listen, don't apologize. This is stuff that's important and stuff you wanted to talk about on the episode.
President Joe Biden signs an executive order repealing the 2019 Trump-era ban on transgender Americans joining the military. February 2nd, 2021, Secretary of Transportation Pete Buttigieg becomes the first openly gay cabinet member conferred by the Senate. March 24th, 2021, Dr. Rachel Levine, Assistant Secretary for Health in the Department of Health and Human Services, becomes the first out transgender federal official to be confirmed by the Senate. That was just a football fact. I'll say it anyway. Carl Nassib, a defensive lineman for the Raiders, becomes the first actively out NFL player. June 30th, 2021, the State Department announces it will be updating its procedures, allowing applicants to self-select their gender markers for passports. October 27th, 2021, the State Department announces the U.S. has issued the first passport with an X gender marker. October 19th, 2022, 2 years ago, Social Security Administration announces people can now choose their sex marker on their Social Security records. December 13th, 2022, Biden signs the Respect for Marriage Act, which includes new federal protections for same-sex and interracial couples, because that was a thing that Congress was trying, the Republican side of Congress was trying to get rid of. May 11th, 2023, the FDA finalizes new risks-based recommendation, paving the way for more gay and bisexual men to donate blood. The policy changes eliminate deferrals and screening questions specific to men who have sex with men and women who have sex with men who have sex with men. Oh, we can donate blood again.
Donate blood again.
Well, damn. I didn't know that.
I didn't either.
Let's see. October 2023, California Senator LaPonza Butler becomes the first black lesbian in Senate and also the first out LGBTQ member of the Judiciary Committee. California Democratic Gavin Newsom appointed Butler to fill the seat left vacant by the passing of Senator Dianne Feinstein. I remember when that happened. And the last thing, April 26, 2024, this year, the Biden administration announces a new rule expanding safeguards against potential discrimination of LGBTQ Americans seeking medical care in a reverse of Trump-era limitations that mix federal health protections for members of the, federal health protections for the members of the LGBTQIA+ community. That is a lot that happened and a lot of stuff that is still going on to protect our community from discrimination, allow us to have the same rights as cis, hetero people. That was 45 minutes of that, or altogether so far in the podcast. That was like 35 to 40 minutes of history right there.
Yeah.
This is going to be a little bit of a longer episode. We are going to go on break. Is there anything you want to add before we go on break?
I don't think so.
Alrighty. We'll have a quick word about our website for our merch. Hey everybody, it's Rayven from Smoking Out the Closet. Real fast, I just wanted to talk about the fact that our podcast now officially has a merch store. So we're going through Big Cartel for print on demand, and these products will change from time to time. But right now we have an emotional support products between a crossbody bag, a t-shirt, beanie, and a patch, and we have our podcast mug available in 2 different sizes as well. So if you're interested in supporting our show or just want some really cool swag, head over to smokingouttthecloset.bigcartel.com and grab some stuff from us. And we are back.
I have a topic I would like to talk about from Marijuana Moment.
Lay it on me.
So, there is a federal funded study was published by the American Medical Association show that says maternal marijuana use is not tied to child autism or developmental delays.
Wow, imagine that.
2 new federally funded reports published in the Journal of the American Medical Association, or JAMA, J-A-M-A.
Just like we all like smoking in our pajamas.
In my jammas. may help allay at least some concerns around parental exposures to marijuana. Or prenatal, sorry. That thing that comes before parental.
Yeah, that's fine. Close enough.
Close enough. Prenatal exposure to marijuana. One study found that cannabis use during early pregnancy was not associated with child autism, while the other found no association with increased risk for early childhood developmental delays.
Can you say that a little slower for me? So what does that mean?
So the other found no association with increased risk for early childhood developmental delays, meaning your child is not going to come out smaller, like doesn't have, like a smaller brain, a smaller body frame, smaller birth weight.
So
like,
a lot of the things associated with like
cigarette smoke
or alcohol.
Or alcohol,
what
fetal
I was
alcohol
thinking.
syndrome, yes. Both papers were published Friday. When was this published? October 18th. Mm-hmm. So in the journal JAMA Network, opened and looked outcomes of pregnancies where maternal marijuana use was either self-reported or identified through positive urine tests for THC at the entrance to prenatal care about 2 months into gestation.
Okay, so I will say methodology-wise, and I learned a lot because of, some podcasts I'm like watching and listening to. And they're right. They're just kind of reminding me about methodology. Self-reporting is not a great methodology.
Oh, absolutely not.
And like, yes, they are taking some for urine, but I definitely take this study, even though it's positive, take it with a grain of salt so we can do a better study where it's definitely confirmed while pregnant and they're using it throughout pregnancy or not, a little bit of a better methodology for recording the, sample.
The autism spectrum disorder analysis included data from 178,948 pregnancies born to 146,296 unique individuals between 2011 and 2019, while the early development research used data from 119,976 pregnancies born to 106,240 people between 2015 and 2019.
Those are still not small sample sizes to pull from, so I'm very impressed with that. Also, I just want to make sure everyone's aware, I didn't mean to make it sound like that, like, oh yeah, it can still be linked to autism. No, autism is a genetic thing.
Children were screened at various points on autism development measures. Quote, in this study, maternal prenatal cannabis use was not associated with childhood ASD after adjusting for potential co-founders, says the autism study, including socio-demographic characteristics, other non-cannabis substance use, and maternal comorbidities.
And I have a question, and it might say this later in the article, but like, how are they getting? Because like that's one thing too is like self-reporting has an issue. Is what are the other stuff that any like developmental issues? What are the other things the mom or parent might be using? You know,
Mm-hmm.
because that's the thing, you got to make sure you're taking those out of the factors as well. And that's an issue with this kind of methodology. I feel like.
Yeah. Similarly, the investigation into marijuana and childhood development found that, quote, maternal cannabis use during early pregnancy was not associated with speech and language disorders, global delay, or motor delay. Both studies, which were founded by the National Institute on Drug Abuse, caution that their findings don't mean that using marijuana during pregnancy is safe, especially when use is frequent or heavy. Authors note, for example, that while the autism findings suggest that cannabis use during pregnancy isn't associated with autism in children, overall, quote, there may be an association with higher frequency use, highlighting the need for more research.
I mean, yeah, that's anything with cannabis right now.
I got really distracted by this cannabis ad that's on the top of this article. It was just a fucking plastic bottle, and somebody had made a bowl out of aluminum foil. At least get a better piece for your cannabis ad. Come on.
Dude, this is the 21st century. We could do better.
We could do so much better than a pop bottle.
We're not cave people, SpongeBob. We have technology.
One exception to childhood development study, meanwhile, is researchers observed a, quote, modest inverse association between speech and language disorders when defining cannabis use based only on the urine toxicology reports. No such association was seen in the self-report use data. Pregnant individuals they still said that you should discontinue cannabis use. Authors further recommended that pregnant individuals and those considering pregnancy should be educated on the known adverse fetal and neonatal health effects of maternal prenatal cannabis use,
which we have none of.
Yeah, zero.
Everything that is associated with prenatal care and cannabis is based on alcohol and smoking tobacco. There's been nothing done, no study, no nothing. Everything is either we think this might be a thing because smoke inhalation, because of nicotine or tobacco, but keep in mind that nicotine is the chemical and all the other stuff they put in cigarettes. And so, like, we don't have anything. So, I mean, understand that, like, this potentially could be a thing, but, like, don't be like, this will happen, because we don't know.
As scientists work to wrap their arms around the possible risks of maternal marijuana use, law enforcement officials in some jurisdictions are already targeting pregnant individuals for arrest and prosecution as a result of cannabis or other drug use.
Oh, yeah, 100%. There's a lot of states that do that.
A report from reproductive rights organizations, for instance, found that pregnancy-related prosecutions are at an all-time high in the wake of the 2022 Supreme Court decision that ended the nationwide right to abortion. And by far the most common criminal allegation facing pregnant people is that they use marijuana and or other drugs during their pregnancies.
Yeah, okay, here, but also keep in mind that some are medical patients. Some don't know they're pregnant until the actual test they have in the ER, like some people give me for some reason, even though I tell them I'm trans. So you could test positive for pregnancy and then still be thrown into jail because, hey, you're a medical marijuana patient. That makes sense to me.
Honestly. And the thing about it is it's still federally illegal, and that's still the catch for all of this. Also says the majority of defendants charged in pregnancy-related cases were also low income, it noted.
That's a shocker. Cops going after poor people.
The rates of prosecution varied strikingly across the country. According to the report, Alabama, for example, was responsible for nearly half of the prosecutions at 104, followed by Oklahoma at 68 and South Carolina at 10.
The fuck, Bama?
Come on. The Oklahoma local news in 22 began reporting the prosecutors were targeting pregnant women for their medical marijuana, resulting in felony child neglect charges being filed against 26 mothers. The crime can carry up to a life prison in Oklahoma.
Dude, the fuck? Okay, so what if a mom's on, like, Adderall for ADHD, or the parent, whoever's pregnant, is on Adderall during their pregnancy? Technically, that's an amphetamine or methamphetamine. So, what are you going to charge the parent for child neglect and abandonment or, safety concerns because they're technically taking meth? Like,
that was the number one drug that was cited for among pregnant-related felonies.
what, meth?
Meth. The drug charges against pregnant people was number one was meth, number two was cannabis.
Okay, but is it actual meth, or is it like Adderall?
I said methamphetamines.
Okay, because like if they have an actual prescription for Adderall, that should be no.
Yeah.
I hate this government sometimes.
Honestly.
Is there any more to?
That's all. Okay. That's all there was. Is it trailed off and said, "Don't do this." Take care of your make good judgment and choices, and talk to your doctor. But definitely, they're like, you still probably shouldn't use cannabis while you're pregnant, even though we don't have much of any research. So.
Yeah, that's so horrible, and it's annoying, and it irks me so much. Okay, so going back to my little foreshadow earlier, I was off by 2 years. It's 2006. So CBC website entertainment, it's one that says Brad Pitt says no wedding until everyone can marry. September 8th, movie star Brad Pitt says he's ready to marry actress Angelina Jolie once all Americans are legally able to marry. And apparently this pissed off a lot of people back in the day. I was too young to know, but I can kind of understand why, and I kind of want to talk about this very loose topic. So what are your thoughts on this? Of Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie saying, keep in mind, rich people in California are saying, we won't get married until everyone can get married.
Okay, I understand you're trying to, there's supposed to be some sort of sentiment in there, but like, I don't care about celebrities, and you already have the ability. That's not the point here.
I understand the gesture.
Yeah, it's a nice gesture, but nobody cares.
Yeah, like, you guys... Okay, also, keep in mind, Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt have already gotten married, divorced at this point.
Yeah.
They're on their 12th married divorce now, but I feel like they've already gotten married and divorced once already by 2006. I could be wrong.
So again, people in 2006 probably, there was the people who were, but then also a lot of people were like, okay.
Yeah, and this is an issue I have sometimes with some celebrities. Not all, because like, there are some that do a lot of good and actually put their money where their mouth is, like Mark Ruffalo. But it's an empty sentiment. Mm-hmm. We won't get married until everyone gets married. Okay, you guys they didn't do anything to put money behind any legislation or support or actually go to, politicians and show support of, hey, we're for this. Push and help push stuff. They didn't try running for office. They didn't try supporting any candidates that did go. Caveat, I don't know. They could have donated behind the scenes. I don't know. Mm. I'm not digging through like 16, 17, 18 years of tax records for those two. That
doesn't sound like a fun time.
It doesn't. I already have a bad time reading the legal paperwork for legislation stuff. So I wasn't gonna deep dig into it, but still, like, the fact of we're just saying that and not doing anything further is what pissed people off, and understandably so.
Yeah, because it's empty sentiment.
So I did want to bring that up because my first topic is really huge, but this one's a little shorter.
And my first reaction is, who gives a fuck?
And I think
about celebrity marriage. I don't keep up with the Kardashians. I don't keep up with any of those rich asshole. I don't care. I have enough going on in my life, and I don't need any sort of drama, not even celebrity drama that doesn't even remotely involve me. I don't care.
No, I will say there was this part I am bringing up from glamour.com. It is I think it looks like it's an opinion piece. Dear Brad Pitt, please stop saying we want to wait to get married until everyone get married. It's getting a little awkward. This is in May 22nd, 2012. I'm going to read the highlighted part saying, when someone asked me why Angie and I don't get married, I replied, maybe we'll get married when it's legal for everyone to do so. And I stand by that, he told Parade in 2008. I believe everyone should have the same rights. By January of this year, he stated he changes his tune, telling, we made the declaration some time ago and we weren't going to do it till everyone can, but I don't think we'll be able to hold out, and I'm not going to go out any further. So keep in mind, that was 2012. So yeah, they waited, 6 years?
Yeah.
Empty platitude of not doing fucking a thing, and then still doing it anyway. This is why I don't have social... What is it? When, like, you're really connected with, like, a celebrity. It's something. It's like... I can't remember the term. But, like, I really don't give a fuck about celebrities. There's some, like, Chester Bennington that, like, their music helped, their art helped me. But it's more a connection to the art, not the celebrity.
Yeah.
But, yeah. Empty words and platitudes.
I'm trying to think of the name of the thing now. It's like when you have a relationship with someone who can't actually...
Parasocial relationship.
Yeah, there you go. Parasocial relationships with celebrities. Yeah.
We got there.
There we go.
Ooh, actually, I do have another thing. Can I bring it up? Because it's around the corner.
Yeah.
Halloween!
Woo!
Candy! And the time of year when every mom and dad and non-binary parent goes up and be like, hey, guess what? I'm going to inspect your candy in case someone put razor blades or marijuana. When I was a kid, it was the razor blades. Now I feel like it's the marijuana candies.
Yeah.
Which, keep in mind, we're not giving your snot-nosed brat kids any of our edibles. That's for us.
And they're too expensive to do that with.
Yeah. First off, they're too expensive to either buy or make yourself. First off, and second of all, I know where my candies are. It's not the one marked Jolly Ranchers. It's the one I put in a little cookie tin that I'm eating while I give your kids. There's no way I'm going to mix them up because they're going to be already too deep and already sleeping because I'm a lightweight. Nobody's giving your kids edibles. First point, end of discussion. But the National Law Review wanted to bring up an article about it. The truth about cannabis edibles and Halloween candy, separating myth from reality. Halloween is one of my favorite holidays. There's something in it for everyone, adults and children alike. In Pennsylvania, New York, and New Jersey, it is the time to enjoy fall air, colorful leaves, football, homecoming, and of course, trick-or-treating. There's nothing quite like seeing neighborhoods come alive with spooky decorations and people dressing up as everything from politicians, parentheses, it isn't an election year after all, to witches, clowns, and Barbie dolls. I expect to see so many people in Beetlejuice-inspired costumes this year. As Halloween approaches, we get the unusual flood of warning from law enforcement and the media about the dangers of cannabis edibles sneaking into trick-or-treat bags. While these stories certainly grab headlines and ratings for the news station, because that's all they worry about now.
Absolutely.
The truth is, the incident of people intentionally giving out cannabis edibles are incredibly rare. It takes... Why did the page refresh and move? It takes a lot... It's a lot like the old myths of candy tampering that are stuck in American psyche, but rarely, if ever, happen. So while it's smart to be cautious, let's not forget that Halloween is a time to enjoy and celebrate, whether you're out trick-or-treating, attending a party, bobbing for apples, gross, or marveling at all the goblins, ghouls, brides of Frankenstein, and creepy decorations around your neighborhood. Now, the reason why I say bobbing for apples is gross.
Because there's so much spit and shit in the water.
I used to love doing it as a kid, but as I got older, my mom was like, yeah, it's kind of gross when you think about it. They're like, yeah.
Everybody's mouth is
Ew.
there. And yeah.
Ew. Rare incidents, but real concerns. So, are THC edibles ever given out as Halloween candy? While we find examples in California and Missouri, no charges were brought in those cases. In a rare case when cannabis candy was handed out, that happened in Canada, and serious criminal charges followed. A couple mistakenly distributed THC edibles, thinking that they were regular candy, and faced multiple charges, including negligence, distributing cannabis to minors, and administering a noxious substance. This shows that even unintentional mistakes can lead to several legal consequences, but the incidents remain outliers. And it's true. And I can understand that someone makes a mistake because, some of these, like in California, the label is like, infused cannabis nerds rope. And it looks exactly like the same font, labeling, everything.
And then you have PA's medical program, which is you're not even allowed to have very bright colors.
Mm-hmm. And, you're not really supposed to have anything that appeals to kids. I get that, right? But, and that's a dumb thing in my opinion, because alcohol does that.
Yeah, exactly.
But still, and that's an extremely rare case I will give to where it looks really hard and you kind of have to pay attention. But still, I mean, come on. No one's really going to give it out for people because most of the time they have it stashed away, they paid good money for it, and they're not going to give it to your kids. No.
Regular candy for Halloween is expensive enough.
Yeah, honestly.
A bag of fun size 46 candy bars is $15.
Yeah, if not almost 20 nowadays.
And you get a 10 pack of 10 milligram edibles for $30.
Yeah. I'm not sharing that with anybody but you.
Exactly.
And that's it.
That's it.
So nobody's gonna get your kids aren't gonna get the edible candy. They're gonna get the regular candy.
Yeah.
No, if you want to use it, if you're a parent and you want to use that as an excuse to steal some of your kids' candy, fine. I don't care.
You gotta check it and make sure there's not drugs in it.
I gotta check it to make sure it's safe. There's no razor blades.
Wait, where did my Reese's go? I don't know what you're talking about.
Because I'm sure that's what every parent does. That's a move a parent does. That's fine. Use it as that. I don't care. But don't actually believe that's happening.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else to add to that or another topic?
Well, the other one's election related, so honestly I can wait until the next episode since this one was going to run a little longer. My other one I did realize was from Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, so I am going to say I'm still standing in solidarity with the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette union workers that are on strike. So I am not going to be using that article, even though it was relevant to the podcast. And I did want to bring that up just because, solidarity.
Yeah, we're not doing that. We're not using any Pittsburgh Gazette-based articles for the podcast for a hot minute now. So
over a year. They've been on strike for over a year.
I know. It's ridiculous. Well, I guess we can end here.
Yeah.
Is there anything you want to add before we sign off?
I don't think so.
Well, once again, my name is Rayven. I use she, her pronouns.
I'm Asmodeus. I use they, them pronouns.
And we'll see you all in the next episode.
Bye-bye.
Bye.